What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Fight Out podcast, first one of 2025. We wanted to start on the numbered card, obviously UFC 311 this upcoming weekend, Mackachev versus Sarukian. Last week's card was a nice one to watch in the end, but to be honest, it just didn't have the appeal for me. So we started on this one. Banger of a card, and just before we dive into that, obviously we took a little bit of time off. We've got a lot of stuff planned for this upcoming year, so like, subscribe, comment, obviously stay in the loop. I know everyone says it, but we actually have got a lot planned. We've been working on a few bits and bobs, so can't wait to see them come to fruition. But yeah, let's dive into this weekend's upcoming card. So at the minute, at the time of recording it, it is still in LA. It's Wednesday. The card's Saturday. Surely they can't move it at that short notice. But I've seen that they were talking about doing it. So if you've watched this last year, you'll know that usually, first of all, there's usually someone else with me, and second of all, we don't look at the odds before we make our predictions. So I've done that as usual, but I've looked at the odds since, and I haven't been swayed at all. But there is some interesting ones on there where I feel like you could get some good money coming back. So obviously we'll start at the top of the card. The main event, Mackachev versus Sarukian, a rematch, another rematch for Islam. He seems to love them, to be fair. I've seen a lot of people online tout this is like, the two best in the division going at it. And obviously that's technically what it is on paper. And I suppose the phrase that they're using is it's the hardest fight for Islam. Now, I don't always see it that way, to be honest with you. I think Sarukian's an absolutely unbelievable fighter, but I don't think he's Islam's biggest test. I'm kind of going against the grain a little bit. And I'll be honest, when I seen what people were saying online, it did make me second guess myself a bit. But I can see Islam absolutely blowing him out of the water, to tell you the truth. I can see Islam actually getting a finish. And I know that's quite a bit of a bold statement. Islam sub, I looked before, I think it's 10-3 for Islam to sub him, which I could see happening. I could see him on the feet, getting him down, subbing him. Literally wouldn't put it past the finish at all. But definitely Islam, who is a strong favourite in the fight. There's no real value, in my opinion, just betting on Islam to win. I think it's like 2-7, something like that. So, maybe if you're doing like a long accumulator and you want a little odds builder in there. But for me, I don't know. For whatever reason, I don't see it being necessarily close. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I can see it. A lot of people online are saying you can see it going the distance. You can see the co-main going the distance. With the main event, I'm really disagreeing. I can see it. Islam finish. I'm finishing well. One big thing, just before I dive into the co-main, one big thing as well for me is what I've seen Sarukian say about, he's not all in and stuff with the sport. And I know he's loaded, he comes from money and stuff, and it could absolutely just be mind games. But then he also said that if he wins this title now, he's only fighting for money. He's only taking money fights. He's not interested necessarily in cleaning out the division or anything like that. And I don't know, just the things he says for me doesn't really ring like someone who feels like he can even win this fight, to be honest. With that being said, obviously I've seen the shape he's in, and it's if he's not on any performance enhancing drugs, I need to find out what he's doing in that gym, because he's in absolutely outrageous shape. But all that being said, like I said, I fancy Islam, and for my opinion, there's some value in the Islam via submission. Going into the co-main, Merbab versus Umar. This fight for me is definitely. I would actually say it is what people are saying online, where it's probably the biggest test for both of them in the division. I don't know if Umar right now is going to be the champion in my head. And I picked this before I looked at the odds, because Merbab's odds are quite tasty, to be fair. I think it's like 9-4 just to win. And I said the same about Islam initially. When he was fighting Charles for the belt, I was like, he hasn't really fought anyone in the build-up. He's kind of bit off more than he can chew here. And then he won that fight. I'm dying to see that rematch, though, with, hopefully we see it with Islam coming through this next one. Him versus Charles would be definitely on my list. But I kind of feel the same about Umar right now that I felt about Islam. Obviously, I was wrong about Islam. So usually people learn from the mistakes. Obviously, I'm not one of them people. Because I still think Merbab this weekend will win. I think it's probably going to be a close fight. You haven't really seen the two of them in that many close fights. I watched back the Merbab against Sean O'Malley fight with a lot of people saying he had it 3-2 and potentially 3-2 O'Malley and stuff like that. I still couldn't see it, but it was closer than I thought it was on the night. But it's still not a close fight, and you know Umar hasn't had close fights at all. So I can see this being both of their biggest tests for certain. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if we see this fight a couple of times if the two of them stay around. I like Merbab's mindset going into it. He's got a bit of a chip on the shoulder about like he had to earn the title shot, and he feels like Umar's more or less been given it because his last name's Nurmagomedov, which partially agree, but at the end of the day, you know, it's the entertainment business as well as the fight business. And to be fair, I think Merbab will know deep down that Umar is a massive, massive challenge for him. But going with Merbab, like I said, the odds are quite good. Let me just check what they actually are. Yeah, the odds are 9-4 or around that, which is insane value for money. You know, if you fancy an upset with Sarukian beating Islam as well, some crazy money to be won there. But yeah, so the first two for me is Islam via sub and just Merbab to win, straight win. Going into you know, the people's main event slot, the fight before the co-main, massive, massive fight. Probably the one I'm looking forward to the most, to tell you the truth. I feel like the co-main and the main, especially the co-main, it's got the potential to be boring because the two of them are that good and they are both a wrestling style. I know Umar mixes in a lot more strikes, but that fight has got the potential to be boring, and that's one thing I'm worried of. The main event, if it goes the way everyone online is saying, you know, they think it's going to a decision, I think that's got the potential to be boring as well, potentially. But I don't see it going that way. I see it as I'm getting the finish. This fight, however, Yuri against Jamal Hill, I can't see this being boring in any way, shape, or form. Now, they might be famous last words and you're coming for me in the comments next week, but I just can't. I think Jamal Hill will get it done. I think the two of them are weird strikers. They both leave themselves quite open to be hit, and you know, we're not about going technical on this, but I can see Yuri getting hit a lot more than Jamal Hill. And I think Jamal Hill, again, has got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. He's arguing with everyone. Like, literally, if you tweet him, he'll probably argue with you because he's just in that frame of mind. And to be fair, he was on a bit of a tear leading into the Pereira fight. That went the way we thought it would. I know he's going on about this referee distraction, and you know he weren't knocked out. He was just buzzed and stuff like that. But I think he'll get back in the win column. I think Yuri's in a tough spot. There was talk about him going down to middleweight, which always says that a fighter isn't quite sure where he stands, you know, in the current division. And I could see him losing this and potentially going down to middleweight. I don't like to throw around the the career's over kind of shout, but if Yuri loses this, he is in a tough spot. He's kind of in like that Dominic Reyes spot where he nearly, you know, well, Yuri got the title after the relinquish it. Then he had to fight Pereira for the title twice and got beat twice. And then if he loses it, you know, he's kind of on that skid where Dom Reyes, you know, people argue he won the fight against Jones, but then after that he went on that skid. I think we could be seeing something similar with Yuri, maybe, but nonetheless, I fancy Jamal Hill to get the business done. Moving into the fight before that, it's one that I didn't want to see because I wanted to see Moicano versus Paddy. Me and Mike both made it quite clear that that was the fight that we wanted next for Paddy. I mean, you know, Paddy's on holiday at the minute. You know, I'm seeing him on Instagram in Mexico with his bird, so I don't think we'll see him in London, to be honest. I mean, what is it, 22nd of March, it's the 15th of Jan. 10 weeks, I mean, potentially. No, he's jumped in on shorter notice than that, but I think Paddy is probably old now for a co-main event slot or something like that on a Vegas card or an American card at least, which potentially it still could be Moicano, I suppose, but I don't know. This fight kind of threw a spanner in the works for me. Beneil Dariush was one that I really did think he was going to be like the next big challenger, and he's just fell off. Hasn't really looked good to me the last couple. I'm going to go Moicano in this one. I've been kind of and ahhing on it all day, but I think Moicano's got a little bit of, you know, like the kind of the winning behind him and stuff like that. A little bit of strength of schedule, similar to what I feel Merbab has also got over Umar. That was one point I forgot to make. You know, Merbab's fought who's who and ex-title holders and stuff like that, literally one after the other. Whereas Umar hasn't really fought anyone until Corey, and then he's got the title shot because he looked that good. So I think strength of schedule plays a part in this card for me. I always bang on about it every week, and sometimes I'm wrong. But I feel like this week's the one that I'm going to be right, to be honest. So in this fight, I'm going Renato Moicano to do the business. And then the next fight, Kevin Holland against Renier the Ridder. Renier the Ridder is one of them where I don't know if it's just because his name is like, Dricus Duplessis, Renier the Ridder. Like, they're very similar, and I wrote Renier the Ridder off. He's obviously a jiu-jitsu guy. I think he's looked very, very. I mean, look, who am I to say? But he looked very novice in certain times in UFC fights, I feel. And I think Kevin Holland's had a million fights now. I think he's going to find a way to get it done and keep it on the feet. And when Kevin Holland's got it in like his kind of match, it's just entertainment. I feel like this fight could actually steal the show a little bit, because I feel like it's going to be good, and probably Kevin's going to be talking to him a lot and stuff like that. And it does this kick off the main card? I think it does. Yeah, it kicks off the main card. I feel like it could steal the show a little bit. And in this one, I am going Kevin Holland. Now, that obviously concludes the main card. Us fighters in the UK, we're either going to have to set alarms or stay up. Me personally, I actually really like the prelims, so I'm going to be staying up. Some good fights on the prelims. Can't wait to see Peyton Talbot, Jonathan Almeida. I want to see Grant Dawson. Obviously, he's mates with our mate, Chris Duncan. So, to be fair, the two of them, I think, look like each other. So, yeah, I can't wait to see him. And I'm probably going to add Grant to my accumulator, which would bring it to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It would bring it to a 5-fold without the Islam sub. And the 5-fold would be 22.5 to 1. If you then put the Islam sub on it, it obviously becomes a 6-fold, and it's 100 to 1. So let me just run back through that for you in case anyone fancies losing some of their own money. It's going to be, I'll do it from the order that these give it. So it's Renato Moicano to win, Jamal Hill to win, Merab Dvalishvili to win, Grant Dawson to win, Kevin Holland to win, and Islam Makhachev by submission. Now that's done it in quite a confusing order, so I'll just run back through in the order of the card, going from the main event down. So it's Islam Makhachev via submission. Then in the co-main event, it's Merab Dvalishvili. In the one before the co-main, it is Jamal Hill just to win. Merab Dvalishvili was also just to win. Then in the fight before, it's Renato Moicano just to win. Fight before that, the first one on the main card, it's Kevin Holland to win. And then off the prelims, it's Grant Dawson on there, and it comes out at 100 to 1. If you don't fancy the Islam shout, you can take that off and it's still 22. And then if you put Islam just to win on it, goes up to 29 to 1. This is with Sky Bet, by the way. So if you've got some better odds somewhere else, obviously, go ahead with that. But yeah, that concludes the predictions for this. Obviously, we'll jump on next week and dissect the card a little bit, but excited to be back. Like I said, we've got a lot of stuff in the works. We took some time to really plan the podcast for this year to see what we're going to do. Obviously, we're going to do all the numbered events. We've got some stuff coming as well that we're just trying to finalise. And obviously, the prediction shows here. So remember to like, remember to comment. If you disagree with me, you probably all will be coming for me saying, no, Islam's not going to sub him. Kevin Holland's not going to win. Renato Moicano's going to get slept. All of these things, let me know in the comments below. Remember to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.